Hello YouTube. Welcome back to my channel, and if you are brand new, welcome. I am Bonnie, Old Soul Mermaid, and today we are going to be taking another look at my deck collection. I'm trying to show you all my decks that I have, my deck collection for 2020 before the year is out. So I'm going to try to film all these videos. I'm doing them in smaller chunks, so you know you're not sitting forever. I mean, you literally would be sitting forever. So I'm trying to put them in categories by publisher, and then I'll narrow some other, categories down farther. So today is going to be a look at my Hay House decks that were published by Hay House. So I think we'll take a look at first my decks, Hay House decks by Colette Baron-Reid, and we will start out first with her, I think this is her newest one, the Oracle of the Seven Energies. I do have a full unboxing, I believe, of this deck on my channel, and you can find it in the playlist for unboxings. Love the clamshell box with this. Now, let me get in a little bit closer. Nice chunky little guidebook, nice pleasant backs. The cardstock is really nice. It's this super matte, not overly thick, really easy to shuffle cardstock. But you can see it's quite colorful. This is something that you'll either jive with or you won't. I haven't worked with it in depth. I've played with it a little bit, but you know, it's the photorealistic art that is typical with Colette Baron-Reid, that we all know her decks, but I think it is very beautiful. And I quite love this Pinocchio puppet for a tall tale. It's whimsical, it's colorful. If you are affected by colors and like bright colors like I am, you will probably like the sensory overload with this deck. And decks like this, I just think this is utterly beautiful. I just think the artwork is super beautiful. How functional it is as a deck, it depends on every individual. This is one of her newer decks and a newer deck in my collection, so I haven't worked with it at length. But it's here in my collection for 2020. So I just think it's gorgeous. Haven't worked with it. I plan to be working with it coming into 2021. We're almost there, you guys. Almost there. She is one of the big producers for Hay House, so it makes sense to go through her decks in my collection first. The Spirit Animal Oracle. I know this is a favorite. Beautiful clamshell magnetic closure box. Nice chunky guidebook. I do not have an unboxing on my channel of this deck. If you'd like to see one, let me know, because everybody and their mother has one. This is a favorite of many people. And here are the gorgeous backs. Again, it's that wonderful, nice matte cardstock. I really, really love the cardstock. But yes, this is a favorite of many people, and actually I have not used this deck yet, and you can tell. The cards are still sticking to each other. I don't know how I feel. While I love the animal energy, I don't know how I feel about the photo manipulation with some of the cards, with them wearing headdresses and things. I do love this bee card, though. This reminds me of Ethany. But some of them, you know, the bear with the feathers and the buffalo, I kind of get this a little bit more. But I wish they just would have left nothing on the animals. I don't mind the artwork around them, but, you know, putting a crown, you know, on the canary is, I don't know if I can handle that level of cheese factor. I don't know. So it's kind of kept me, you know, seeing this, it's kind of kept me from working. Now, not all the animals have that. Excuse me, some of them do. Like I said, I don't mind the extra artwork, but like this, I find it borderline cheesy and would have much preferred just leaving this, the feathers and things and the headdresses out. But I know this is a favorite of many, so I do plan to work with it before I make up my mind. And I want to work with it in earnest. It is a beautiful deck, but this, I don't know. I think it would have been much more effective keeping that out, at least for me. Somebody else, it may not bother. And see, I have an affinity with dolphins, elephants, whales. So that is my beef with this deck. Beautiful. I think it's beautiful, but just that element of cheese factor to me is keeping me from working with it. Okay, the Crystal Spirits Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid, illustrations by Jenna Della Grottaglia. This, I have not done a walkthrough of this deck, a complete walkthrough, but it did show up in, I think, my first video, decks that are leaving my collection. Pretty blue background. Again, it's got that, I love this matte Hay House cardstock, no gilding. It's just really easy to shuffle. It feels really nice to the touch. But it's a crystal deck, crystals, and then there's faces superimposed in the crystals. So crystal spirits. Again, I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would have preferred just the crystals. Well, like this one here. I have not worked with this in earnest, so it did show up on that video. I thought I was going to get rid of it because I didn't feel called to work with it, but I pulled it out while I was at the used bookstore I was going to sell my other decks at. And I pulled it out and I go, you know, I had the feeling I should work with it. I really need a crystal energy deck that I can work with. So this is another one that I plan to work with, and I have to work with before I make a decision on where it goes, whether it stays or whether, you know, kind of a should I stay or should I go? So that is the Crystal Spirits Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reid. The other one I have by Colette Baron-Reid is the Wisdom of the Oracle. This is one of her older decks. Not super old, but this box, I gotta tell you, I hope I don't bump anything. This one's got a nice chunky guidebook. This one has a glossy finish, kind of the older Hay House Oracle cardstock. They've switched over to that matte, which I prefer. But I do love these images. This deck I love, and I have used. And I find I do love the keywords in this deck. I think they go with most of the images. I think the keywords and the images correspond really well. And that's not always the case with Oracle decks. So this has got a border and the glossy cardstock as my previous decks, which are newer productions. You could see they were borderless. Also matte cardstock. This is glossy, but it's not super sticky. And you probably all well know the backs. This has been around for a while, but I'm showing it to you because it's in my collection. And I have used this deck and I like it very much. And I find it's one of those decks that I can pair well with a number of my tarot decks. So that is Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. I'm not going to spend too much time because I'm sure you know this deck very well. I've seen it. It's been around for a hot minute. I picked this up used at my local half-price books for a great price, for $5.99, and it was in excellent condition. And I've seen it, I picked it up because it's one of Katie Flower's favorite. I think Lisa Pappas, Supportive Tarot. I've seen this deck on her channel as well. And this is the older version with Doreen Virtue's name still on it, and Radley Valentine. I think the new deck, the newer version, just has Radley Valentine because we all know why. So just gonna, in case you are brand new to my channel, for those of you who are brand new to tarot and oracle, I'm just gonna, you know, skim through a few cards. But this is a well-known deck. It has been around for a while. And it has gold gilding, which is in pretty good condition, considering I got this used. No bowing. Beautiful, beautiful card backs. I love vintage art, so that's why I picked up this deck. Don't really use it as a tarot deck. I use it more as an oracle deck. And just a card to pull. And I love this staining, this tea staining in the corners. Right here and here. Or as an altar card. Just something for a daily message. Something to pull before bed. Yeah, I don't use it as a tarot deck at all, even though it is supposed to be a tarot deck. This screams oracle to me. But see, I love this Victorian Edwardian art. This is my jam, if you've been on my channel. So I think this deck is still available on Hay House, I think, or on Amazon, but it will have Doreen Virtue's name taken off. And this is, I guess, the older version, so I don't know if they've done anything different, you know, with the box, if it still has the gilding on it, if the cardstock is glossy. This is glossy, but not a super gloss. So that is the Guardian Angel Tarot cards by, I'll say, Radley Valentine. Okay, next is my only other Doreen Virtue deck. And it is the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins. Again, picked this up at my used bookstore because it said Mermaids, even though I saw it was Doreen Virtue. These are the backs, and these are a glossy cardstock. Not super huge oracle size. I haven't used this deck because there's a lot of ask for heaven's help, lots of about praying, but I love the mermaid images in it, and that's why I've kept it. I thought about taking out some of the more religious bent cards out, but then I thought, no, then I'll only be left with a few. But I do love the images, even though they have these borders. I do like the images. You know, I love mermaids. I love ocean scenes. And fairies. Who doesn't love fairies? So it's a very whimsical deck. Some of the cards are quite good. The little quotes at the bottom. For empowerment, you're more powerful than you realize. It's safe for you to be powerful. And I'm keeping this mainly because, you know, if I tried to sell it, I wouldn't get anything for it. If somebody really wanted it, I might gift it. But it's a mermaid deck, and I love mermaids, and I do love some of these images, so I'm keeping it for now. So that is the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Starseed Oracle. And this has that unique box, top liftoff. And I have a full unboxing of this deck on my channel. But this is, yeah, the second collaboration between the two ladies. And those are the beautiful backs. This is the nice matte cardstock. Borderless except for, you know, the bottom. Now, I did work with this deck for a while when it came out, when the deck came out, and I quite liked it, but I do find myself working more with the first collaborative deck, and we're going to see that next. I find that one a little more colorful. It goes, I find it gels well with many of my tarot decks. I like this one. You're not for everyone. Embrace your weirdness, face your true north. Ain't that the truth? But this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful deck, and I'm glad I have it in my collection. So if you, I'm sure many of you are aware of this deck, whether or not you have it in your collection. It's one I would recommend when Hay House has their sales. You know, it's wonderful. I think they had one not too long ago. Maybe they're having one now since it's the holidays. I don't know. Haven't been on their site for a while, which is a good thing. So this is the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel. It's the Work Your Light Oracle cards. I love, 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 love this deck. Now, there are a couple of problematic cards that I don't use, and here I have them to the back because of their Christian religious bent and just where I am. If you are new to my channel, I come from a conservative Mormon background, and I'm trying to move away from, I think, Christianity on a whole. It's been a long journey. So images of the Virgin Mary and Anna, grandmother of Jesus, no. And I recently saw on Danny Mystic's channel, she had kind of the same issue with the two cards, but with this one, she put, I saw that she put washi tape here, Anna, and then here of Jesus, because she wanted to use just grandmother energy. And I'm going, you know, that is a grand spanking idea. I think I'm going to do that. And then I can use this card. Even though it does look kind of, you know, Virgin Mary-ish, I think I could work with it that way. But yeah, I keep these two cards, and look at the beautiful backs. Turned upside down. When I read with this deck, I don't put them in. But again, you've got the beautiful matte cardstock. I use this deck so much in pairing with so many of my decks. This is probably one of my Oracle decks that gets the most use. As far as being what is the word that I'm searching for? I'm having another brain freeze, you guys. But this and Ethany's Awakened Soul Oracle I use so much. And I'm thinking the next time that Hay House has a sale, I might pick up a second version, a second copy of this deck, just because I know I don't think I ever want to be without it. Again, borderless except for the bottom. This is a well-known deck. I have also a side-by-side comparison of this deck and the Starseed deck. You know, just kind of help you along if you're trying to make your decision as to which deck would suit you. Decks by Gabrielle Bernstein. Now, I have to say I'm not a fan of this type of box, and I've considered getting rid of this just because of it. Or I have to make a bag for it because, you know, you store this like this and the flap opens, which I'm not a fan of. Now, that's the back. I wish it didn't have the miracles, just the background. They are silver edged. And this is an affirmation deck. It can be a journaling prompt deck. The universe has my back. The title of another deck. And I find that you can use this for kind of a great way to open up and to close out a tarot reading, or to use, like I said, as journal prompts. And it's a feel-good deck. And I like these types of decks, and I love Gabrielle Bernstein's decks just because sometimes you need that, especially this year. They are empowering and they are feel good. And for this year, I feel that's, you know, this kind of stuff is what I need. I think a lot of us feel that. So, this is the Miracles Now deck by Gabrielle Bernstein. And it's been around for a while. It's, you know, you get a good amount of cards, 62 cards. There's an app for it. And it's staying in my collection. The next deck by Gabrielle Bernstein is the Super Attractor. I think this is her most current deck. She has a book. She's published a book and a workbook or journal to go along with this deck. Very distinctive art style, very reminiscent of her Universe Has Your Back. I love this cardstock. This one is not gilded. It's just a really nice matte. It's an affirmation deck. Again, one to use for journal prompts or to open up or close out a reading. I read for a few people and myself, and I love having these kind of decks. Just, you know, when you are giving or you're getting kind of a confronting in-your-face tarot reading, these are nice to, especially to close things out. Or if you are in a high anxiety state of mind, you know, you really shouldn't be getting a tarot reading then, but you know, sometimes we do anyway. It's a good way to just kind of open up with something like this and just kind of take a deep breath before you start pulling out the tarot cards. I should do a side-by-side of this deck and The Universe Has Your Back. But yeah, Michelle Ezra, she did the artwork for this deck and also The Universe Has Your Back, which we are going to take a look at now. Very well-known deck. I don't believe I have an unboxing because everybody has this deck. It's been around for a while. See the same backs as the Super Attractor. I guess it's like a signature again. just like the Super Attractor. And there is a book that goes with this as well, and I think a journal. But I think these decks, especially if you can get them on sale, are well worth it. There's lots of love in this deck. Lots. You'll see the word love a lot. See, love again. But again, it's a good deck to open and close a reading, especially tough ones. It gives you, starts you out and leaves you off with a little sense of empowerment. So yeah, I think I should do a side-by-side maybe. What do you think? They're very, very similar. But, you know, I do resonate with both of them. And I find good use for both of them. And I'm happy to have them in my collection. So that is The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle by Hay House. This is the Spellcasting Oracle cards by Flavia Kate Peters and Barbara Micklejohn Free. I have a full unboxing of this deck. Again, it's got this beautiful, look at these backs. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Beautiful, luxurious matte cardstock. Easy to shuffle. Beautiful colors. This is like sensory overload for me. I just want to delve in, and these are great cards for meditation, y'all. Really great cards for meditation. And that's mostly what I've used this for. Haven't really used it with in conjunction with tarot readings. I've used these cards for meditation. I just think it touches the senses, the colors. I think the manipulated art was very, very well done. I just think it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, soothing, calming. It has a place in my collection, and I think it will stay. I love looking at it. I love touching this deck. I love having it in my hands. That is the Spellcasting Oracle cards. Again, I think it's another deck worth getting. If you're unsure, get it on sale when Hay House has a sale. Messages from the Mermaids by Karen Kay. There was no way I was not going to get this deck. And this deck you can get for $9 when Hay House has a sale, which is what I did. This, though, I was a little bit, this is a newer deck, and I was a little bit disappointed that it's a glossy deck, even though it's a new. It is a glossy deck, but I love these backs. And the other plus for this deck is that it's very diverse for this kind of a deck with body types, race. I think the art is gorgeous. Look at this. Again, I use these for meditation. It puts me in my little watery mermaid world. Very body diverse for a fantasy deck, which, I mean, look at her. To me, she's got shades of Anna Nicole Smith. Doesn't she? I'm probably dating myself. If you're younger and you don't know who that is, look her up. Patience. Look at this. You know, you don't get that body diversity, race diversity in a fantasy deck. You really don't. Look at this. That's why I would highly recommend, even if you use it just for meditation, if this is not a type of deck that you use in conjunction with your tarot readings, I need to work with them in that way. So far I've only used it for meditation, but boy, this is a wonderful deck to use that way. I have a full unboxing of this deck on my channel. Just find my playlist, unboxings, and enjoy. And yes, it's super affordable, especially when Hay House has the sales. It's a 44 card deck. The Sacred Self-Care Oracle by Jill Pyle. Now this deck came out in a different iteration, indie version. It was in a tuck box and it was much smaller. I love these backs. And I love, love, love this deck as a self-care deck. I love this deck. Again, you've got the nice matte cardstock. Whimsical images, full of color, full of vibrance. I love the book and how you work with the book and the card for a self-care practice. And some of these just seem very self-explanatory, but sometimes the easiest things to do are the hardest. Very empowering deck, a fun deck. Yeah, I'd really like to do that. I love this card. But a great, great self-care deck. Very luxurious cardstock. I'm really, really liking the newer Hay House cardstock. I love the artwork, I love the imagery, and all that it evokes when you pull a card. Again, it totally provides a positive sensory reaction, this deck. The Sacred Self-Care Oracle by Jill Pyle. Angels and Ancestor Oracle cards by Kyle Gray with artwork by Lily Moses. This one has been out for a year or so. I have not worked with this deck, even though I have had it for a while. Some of the cards, I don't know how I feel about them, but I do want to... I have problems with my ancestry, some of my ancestors, so I've kind of been afraid. It's something I want to delve into, working with ancestor energy, but it's something I also fear at the same time. And this is how I was telling you about my Mormon background. I accept Jesus as a great teacher. But this is a favorite of many, and some people find some of the images problematic. I think the art is very well done. It's that beautiful matte cardstock again, borderless. The backs are beautiful, and the images are beautiful. So I think I just need to bite the bullet and try to work with this deck. I have had it for a while. Let me know what your experience has been working with this deck and how do you use it. So that is the Angels and Ancestor Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. The Cosmic Journey Oracle of Yannick Silver. And while I'm filming this, I've filmed the unboxing, but I haven't yet posted it. Okay, so this is a 55 card deck for journaling. And I guess there's a journal that you can buy that corresponds with this, but I don't have it. I just have the deck. Again, it's like one of the Gabrielle Bernstein decks. Affirmation deck, but I think it's meant to use, look at these backs. They're quite fun. Very colorful. I love this color. I love this cardstock. Journaling prompts. It's meant to work as journaling, but again, you could use it like one of those affirmational decks, Gabrielle Bernstein decks. You could, you know, use it in the same way. Very childlike art, which I dig. Very fun. It's just, it's like throwing caution to the wind almost. Just, I love the young energy in this artwork. So yeah, I just did an unboxing today, so I haven't worked with this deck. I might wait and see if I decide to get the journal and maybe work with it together. I think that would be fun. Just to give you a quick preview, because you will be seeing a full unboxing going through card by card and looking at the guidebook. And this is the Cosmic Journey Oracle by Yannick Silver. The Moonology Oracle cards by Yasmin Boland. Artwork by Nyx Rowan. This has been out for a while. Known and loved by many. I love these backs. Beautiful cardstock. Again, I really love this cardstock by Hay House, and that they're borderless, so you can appreciate the art in full form. Sorry, that's my dog Simon. My husband is just opening up the garage door. And it's a deck that I haven't worked with a lot. It's my goal for 2021 to be working with moon cycles more and to be working with astrology more. And that's why I have this deck in my collection for that intention. I do have a full moon ritual that I practice every month. But other than that, I want to put the cycles more into a practice, work with the cycles. So everybody knows this deck if you've been in the tarot community for a while, but if you are brand new, brand new, welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is just a little quick flip through, and so you can see the deck. It's in my collection, and I'm happy that it is, because I know I'm going to get a lot out of it with working with this deck. We have the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reid. I guess I should have put that with the other Colette Baron-Reid's, but this is a collaboration with other people. So, and it's a bigger deck. And it's a beautifully boxed. The big box and the little box. And I just got this in my collection during a sale, a Hay House sale. So I didn't do an unboxing because I think there's a lot of them out there. But if you would like me to do one, I will, you know, do a flip through now that I've opened it. So I haven't worked with it. I know some people love it. Some people aren't fans of the deck. So I am curious to see how I feel about it. I think the images are beautiful. There's the beautiful card backs. It's got a nice book. I do really like, I'm going to say it again, these types of images with the this cardstock. I just think it's beautiful, and there's no border at all. I'm curious to see how this deck will resonate with me and how I can work it into my practice. But I'm very curious and excited. I think, wasn't this picture in the spirit animal deck? It may be, or something very similar like it. But these images are beautiful. And they're evocative, and they do bring tingles to me when I look at them, when I handle the cards, and that's what I look for. Some kind of visceral reaction when I something when I see the cards and when I flip through cards. So far so good. And that is the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reed, Alberto Villodo, Marcela Lobos. I may be butchering all those names, and I really apologize. And this is the mass market version of the Light Sears Tarot by Chris-Anne Donnelly. And I etched mine in green, as you can see. I just took a Sharpie marker to it. Now, there was some bleed through, but I will tell you why it wasn't so precious. I have 3 copies of this deck. I have the indie version, but then I ordered the mass market version, and this deck was cut very unevenly. So, and that was a problem with the first shipment. So I contacted Hay House, and they shipped out another deck, which I still have sealed. So this is my beater Light Sears Tarot that I'm not precious with. This is the one I take out for readings, and I love, love, love this deck, as many of us do. And if you are brand new, this is a deck you need to get. If you only get one modern deck, I think this has to be it. But, you know, we're all individual, and there's some people who may not like this, though I haven't seen anybody say anything negative about this deck. Except for that one controversial card that was in the indie version. But otherwise, this is a great favorite, well known by many. Great all-around reader for every type of reading. It's so full of life and color and beauty. And that is the Light Sears Tarot by Chris-Anne Donnelly, the Muse Tarot. Now, I also have the indie version of this deck as well, but I only have 2 versions of this deck because this one was cut better than the Light Sears, and I etched it in orange. The indie version was etched in a lighter salmon, but I opted for a more vibrant orange, and it turned out pretty well. I love the cardstock of this deck and the Light Sears. I think, you know, it's similar to the Oracle decks, the current Oracle decks that Hay House has put out, and I think it's a bang-up job. I think it's you know, indie quality, and I think the mass market version of these 2 decks is just spot on. I think there's more vibrance in the coloring in the mass market decks in most of the cards. It's very slight, the difference in coloration, but they really, Hay House, slap on the back, high five, you know, that they still kept the original beauty of the indie versions. And I will say I like using the indie versions better because even though the cardstock in the indie version is beautiful and sumptuous, these are a lot easy. The mass market versions, it's so much easier to shuffle and to handle. So I know a lot of people have trouble initially bonding with this deck, and I must say it took me a little while of really working with this deck, but I say we have a good relationship now. So that is the Muse Tarot by Chris-Anne Donnelly. And the last tarot deck, and I'm going to zoom up. If you're still with me, oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the box, The Witch's Wisdom Tarot by Phyllis Curot, and artwork by Danielle Barlow. It comes in this beautiful box, but my cards are not in here, and neither is the book because I am actively working with it. So here they are. The cards come in that box with this bag included, here is the book. I am currently working with this deck in a different way than I work with my other decks, because it is its own system. And again, this is the new beautiful cardstock. I have a full unboxing of this from a couple of weeks ago, so you can easily find it on my channel. It's its own system, so I'm trying to wrap my head around it and how to use it. So I'm just reading the book and going through each card one by one, and sometimes even meditating on the cards. So I'm going to do all that before I start trying to read with it. Beautiful, vibrant deck. This artwork is so beautiful. So beautiful. The cardstock is sumptuous. It's something that I really, really am looking forward to delving into reading with it. So it's going to take me a while. I may post a video about my experiences working with this. So far, I'm just taking my time because I've spent the last year and a half or so just really concentrating on learning the tarot. And then this is kind of shifting and throwing all that, not all of it, but a lot of it out the door because it's totally its own thing. I really want the Dreams of Gaia tarot, but again, it's going to be that kind of, I know it's its own system, kind of its own thing. So I'm having a little bit of blockage working with this deck. That's why I'm opting to work with it very, very slowly and methodically, because I know the effort is going to be well worth it. So that is my video with my Hay House decks. Let me know what you think. Is there anything that you saw for the first time that you were interested in? Let me know in the comments. I love to hear from you. If there's any of these decks that I said I didn't do a walkthrough for that you would like to see a walkthrough of, let me know. If you'd like to see any side-by-sides, let me know. If you found any value to this, hit a like, a subscribe, a notification bell. And with that, thank you so much for spending all this time with me. And I will be back with you for another video real soon. Bye for now.